Okay, so far we've found a few things. We've solved for D. What is the common difference? In this case, you can find the common difference by going 14 minus 8 or 20 minus 14, one number minus the other. So that's how you find D. We've also had to find things like find the 15th term, find the 100th term, or find the 34th term, or something like that. Here, it tells us what that last one is. It tells us that last number, but it doesn't tell us how many terms there are. So this time we're trying to find one piece of information that's missing, just like anything else really in math. Give you all the information except for usually one. So in this case here, we have got, so what we need here, what we need to do first is just label what we know. And that way it gets a little bit easier to figure out what we don't know, even though I've already told you. So T1 is 8. That's our first term. D here is the common difference. So like I said, pick any term, usually T2, and subtract the first term, T1. In this case, it's 14 minus 8, which in this case is 6. So that's my D. And then N is is which term number are we looking for? And that's what we don't know. We don't know what term number this is. If we did, we would know how many terms there are in total. So that's what we need to find. Now we do know one other piece of information, and we call that Tn. We call that 92. That's the last term. Normally we would put a number there, but we don't actually know what number that is yet. So when I have this formula, Tn equals T1 plus D bracket n minus 1. Let me get a nicer D here. When we have that, we realize we can fill in everything but one piece of information. That's the n. So Tn, that's our last term. Again, we don't know which term number it is, but it is 92. And we know what T1 is. That's our first term. That's 8. And then our D here is 6. And then on to multiplied by n minus 1. So don't go 8 plus 6, because that's not correct. You have to do BEDMAS, and in this case it means multiplying the 6 in. So 6n and minus 6. So plus 6n minus 6. Now the 8 and the 6 are like terms. So 8 minus 6 is going to become a 2. So we have a 6n and then a plus 2. Which then I can minus here over to the other side. So I'll minus 2 to the other side, and minus 2. And I've run out of room here, so I'm going to just move this over. 92 minus 2 is just going to be 90, is equal to 6n, and then I can divide both sides by 6 and divide by 6. 90 over 6. Now if you don't know what that is, we can just do that over to the side here. 6 into 90. 6 goes into 9 once. Subtract that, get it 3. Bring down the 0. 6 goes into 35 times, which gets me a perfect number there of just 15. So n is equal to 15. So how many terms are there? Well, there's 15 terms. So we don't need this, but the T15 is 92. The 15th term is 92, but we already knew it was 92. We just didn't know which term number it was. In this case, we have now found that out, and it's 15. So I'll just zoom out there if you need to copy anything down. And we can start on the second question. So again, I've got the end term, I've got the last term, but I just don't know which number it is. And it looks like I got fractions here, so I'll have to deal with that. So term number 1 is 38. Now D is our common difference, which is any term subtract the previous. So I guess that's 83 over 2 minus 38. Now that doesn't look like it'll work. I'll make that over 1. And then I can times it by 2 on both sides. So I guess we'll get 83 over 2 minus 76 over 2, which in this case is 4, which is 7 over 2. So 3.5 or 7 over 2. The number of terms, well, I don't actually know. That's what I'm trying to find out. But I do happen to know what that last term is, even though I don't know which spot it's in. I do know that it's 115. So let's write down our formula. Tn is equal to T1 plus D bracket n minus 1, and I can fill in this information. So let's fill this in here. So the Tn, the last spot, we know it's 115. The first term there is 38, and then we got our d here. Our d is plus a 7 over 2. So that's what our d is. And n minus 1. Okay, so we got 115 is equal to 38, and then I can multiply that 7 over 2 into here. So it's just 7 over 2n and minus 7 over 2. So plus a 7 over 2n minus a 7 over 2. I can combine my like terms. So this will be over 1. So I can times this by 2 and times that by 2. So 38. I feel like I did this number before, 38. Oh yeah, that's right. That's over here, 38, which is going to be 76 over 2. Okay. So this is going to be a 76 over 2 plus a 7 over 2n minus a 7 over 2. So whole is equal to 115. So these things are alike. 76 minus 7. So I've got 115. 76 minus 7 is 69 over 2 plus 7 over 2n. So I'll have to subtract this over to the other side, which won't work because I have to get this over, it's over 1, I need that over 2. So I need a common denominator. Okay, so let's bring this over here and see what I have. So I have 115 minus 69 over 2 equals 7 over 2n. Double check. Yep, because those are now gone. And I'm going to need to make this is over 1, so I'll double that, top and bottom. So 230 over 2 minus 69 over 2 equals 7 over 2n. By the way, once you have common denominators, you could just cross these all out, which is what we're going to do in just a moment. But 230 minus 69, which is 161 over 2 equals 7 over 2n. So you times this by 2, times this by 2, so that will cancel, but then so will that. So then I have 161 equals 7n, which I will divide both sides by 7, and I will be done. So 161 divided by 7, like I don't know what that is. So 7 into 161. So 7 can go into 16 twice. That'll get me 14, which is 2, carry down the 1, 21, perfect, because that's a 3. And I get a 0. So 23 is equal to n. So the 23rd term is what got us 115. So I'll just zoom here in case you need to write anything down. But obviously there's a lot more work involved in that one, just by the nature of having a fraction of 7 over 2. Because I just need common denominators everywhere. So we've got, I think, another question here. It says, for each of the following sequences, determine how many terms are in this that are less than 250. So we know the 4th term is 73, and the 10th term is 121. And we want to know how many are less than 250. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll make this into its own video because I know I have to do that for this one as well. So I'm just going to pause it here and just zoom out so you can see this. And we'll do the next video, we'll do those questions.